Greetings, loved ones, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, even though it is the last day of the month, I am not doing an I Love This Stuff video. Not because the I Love This Stuff series is coming to an end. You guys made it very clear in my last upload, last month of I Love This Stuff. Just in the comment section, I asked if I should continue it, and all of the comments were like, please, I love this series. So I'm not ending the series, but I wanted to end off this September series that we're doing and just end it off with one last note and just talk about kind of a more serious topic with you guys that a lot of you asked me about throughout the month, and I have had personal experience with this. So today we are talking about intimacy after trauma or assault and letting people back in and how that process was for me. And I have a lot of videos about my experience with my trauma in general, and the first one I ever uploaded even mentioning that this had happened to me was a video on consent back in I think 2016, and in that I was not even planning on sharing my story, and then I just kind of went into it and was like, okay, I guess this is happening. And I'm so happy that I did, because so many of you when I shared the story were like, holy shit, I didn't realize that's what happened to me too. And I feel like when you share with somebody else and you hear your story either reflected back or validated to you in some way, you just feel like so heard, and you have all of these realizations of just like, oh my god, that's what that was. And then my second video that I did on this I think was back in 2018, and it was basically just called Healing Emotional Wounds, and it was about my experience with trauma and kind of just what I'm going to be talking about in this video, but more so just like healing in general and not just letting other people in, whether it be sexually or, you know, intimately, emotionally, all of those kind of nice things. So if you would like to watch those two videos, I will link them down below. Today we're going to be talking about just my general experience letting people back in, because I know that it is so freaking scary to go about this. So that being said, I did a little bit of writing before this and just wanted to put all of this in my notes just to refer back to. So here we go. So a little bit about my experience. I was sexually abused back in 2015, April of 2015, and I didn't even realize really what had happened to me. I didn't process what happened to me until March of 2016 when I first opened up about it to my friends, Finley being one of them, and he really just, like I said at the beginning, having your experience validated and heard is so great for your healing and your growth. So I really encourage you guys to open up to somebody in your life, whether it be a friend, a loved one, or a therapist, you know, just letting anybody know that that happened to you so that you can talk about it and be like, oh my god, that's what that was. Because so many people just black it out and then you like never process it, but you hold on to all of this emotional baggage, you know? So between the time that I had that experience happen to me and then when I finally kind of started to process it, in between that year, I was with one man. And I mean that like sexually speaking. And I talked about this experience with this specific man kind of briefly in my last video that I just uploaded, which I will link on the screen if you guys haven't seen it. And I was just saying in that how I really wasn't into it. I did not really want to be there. And I just shouldn't have been with that person in general, but I was there at that time and that thing did occur. So thinking back to that experience and all of the experiences that I had even leading up to Finley, I really just would never let people in. I knew that, you know, granted, none of those people that I was with in that way I would have wanted to have pursued further because they weren't matches with me emotionally. Maybe they were in some ways of fulfillment sexually, but nothing more than that. And so I think that's why I was with them, is because it was like, it was so surface level. It was not gonna get deeper than just what we were doing. And I was just like, whatever. But then I also, the flip side of the coin of me was like craving this emotional stability from other people and like being in love with someone and just all of these things. So part of me wanted that, but then the other part of me wasn't showing up for myself. Does that make sense? So it's like, how are you supposed to let love in if you are not allowing it? Like, I was so closed off because I was fucking terrified of letting men in that way, because like, what if they hurt me? What if they turn around and do what that man did to me? Like, you know, It's a lot. And that being said, I did not really have many of my triggers come up and be shown until I was growing in intimacy with someone, like truly starting to let somebody in, falling in love with Finley. That was an emotional process for me, because I was like, oh my God, I'm letting somebody like see all of me, and having these like joyous experiences and these sad experiences where I'm like processing and stuff like that. And he wants to be here for all of it. And that was like such a wake-up call to me of like, oh, you know, he's showing up and he wants to be here. And so I need to be here too. And so when I started to kind of like bring more of myself to the table, that's when just so many of my triggers started showing up. And I talked about this in my like healing emotional wounds video, but I just had this one incident that I just remember most vividly from when I was most triggered, when I was falling in love with Finley. It's because I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't doing the healing work of like, oh, yo, that happened to me and we're gonna cry it out and we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna sit here and sift through all these feelings. And so anyways, Finley and I were just like laying on my bed and he was tickling me and we were just being playful, you know? And from behind, he was whispering in my ear, and my abuser had done the same, like whispered in my ear. And when Finley did that to me, I had all of those feelings come back. And so quickly it turned from, oh, we're laughing, we're playing, he's tickling me, to, oh my God, stop, 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 fucking stop. And it just went from like 0 to 100 so quick. I remember he just went to the end of the bed and just like let me be and just gave me space. And I just laid there on the bed, just like shaking and crying until I was just like, I'm sorry, like, can you come hold me? I'll explain why that happened. And he just held me while I cried, and I was just like processing what just happened, because that was the first time that I had been like truly triggered in a physical situation. And I didn't know how to handle it, and my body just fucking froze and then just like broke into anxious shaking. And that was like sometime in 2017. And I mean, it's 2019 now and your girl still gets triggered even though my abuser is in jail and has been reported. Since I filmed that healing emotional wounds video, that's something that has progressed in this situation. He was reported by 4 girls, I think 4 or 5 girls. And then they published an article about him, and at the bottom of it, it was like, if you have any more information on this case, call the detectives at this number. And I sat for so long just thinking about calling and just being like, okay, but he's already been arrested, like his bail's already been posted for like $1.5 million to get him out, and he's already been taken away, so like what will my story have to add to this? And I was just telling Finley that, and he was like, you know, you could potentially get him put away for longer though if you do call. So I mean, I encourage you to do that, do whatever you want, but just know I'll be here for you if you do. And then I decided to go and report him, and that was a huge release for me, was being able to tell the detective, the woman working on the case, bless her heart, that it was a woman, just because I felt more in like solidarity, you know, like she was like hearing me and understanding me in everything that she was saying leading up to asking me these like hard and triggering questions. She would always say before she asked me something triggering, like, and I know this might be hard for you, but did he X, Y, and Z? Or you don't have to tell me this, but it would be helpful if I knew if he did this. And that call was so fucking helpful for me to report him, because I really started to understand the logistics of what classifies as an abuse and what classifies as a rape. And so then after that call, I was like, okay, no, I was actually raped. And for so long, I was going through this whole battle of like, oh, this isn't a real experience because he didn't rape me though. And not truly letting myself process it, or not feeling like my experience was bad enough to be talked about or vented about to my friends because of that reason. So then that just brought so much more to light to me. So anyways, report your abusers, dude. I know that it is a triggering process, but I really, it helped me so much. And you know, maybe it's been some time and you don't want to go about that. but I would recommend doing that. But also, flip side of the coin, I completely understand if you just do not want to revisit that. Like, I still had boundaries. When I did open up, she was like, and you can fly down to LA, we will fly you out if you want to testify against him in court. And I was like, I will not. I do not want to see that motherfucker. I'm sorry, I will not do that. So like, yes, I'll share my story and you can gather all of these details. And it helps the case so much because not only did those 4 girls come forward at the beginning, but then literally like almost 30 more came forward and they shared their experiences as well. And I'm sure that more is still coming forward. Just so many people being like, oh my God, finally I'm heard and I don't have to keep this secret in anymore and I can release it. So bless those 4 girls' hearts for like coming up and just reporting him, because I wouldn't have been the one. So I'm glad that they got the ball rolling, if you will. But this is a separate side note. I just wanted to say that talking about it to your friends, to your counselors, to detectives, anything can be so helpful to your actual healing process. Like I said before, you know, I still have fucking triggers. I had a trigger literally 2 days ago because in the situation that I had with that man, he said some things to me and I heard them the other day in the lyrics of a song and I was eating at the time. And after I heard it, I just like froze and was just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then I just got really nauseous. And then my body just kind of like broke into anxious shaking again. And I just like could not hold myself together. I had to stop eating. I just went upstairs and I just put on something on my computer that would make me smile and laugh. And I just laid there until I felt better. But it's not like because all of these things have happened and he's behind bars and he's not doing this anymore that like that's going to heal what he did to me emotionally speaking. So that's why it's so fucking hard to let people in again, because you're like, holy shit, okay, well that happened, what, 4 years ago, and I'm still living out bits and pieces of that. It's still impeding on my life. And healing from trauma in any regard is such a process. It's not like it's gonna happen overnight or you do that one big release and then you're like, well, ready to go. Like that's wrapped up, you know, like this shit, it sticks with you for a minute. But yeah, I think it's helpful to share the things that trigger me. So aside from like the whispering kind of a thing, if you ever meet me in public, do not come up from behind and whisper in my ear, man. I definitely have done a lot of work with that specific thing. Like if Finley whispers something in my ear, I'm not like, don't fucking do that. But it was like the whole behind thing. It was just a lot, you know, lying down on the bed. It was just like everything all at once kind of a thing. And then also another one of my triggers, which is still ongoing, is the songs that we listened to that day with him. Just anything from that day, I can like hear him singing it and I have to turn it off. So Caliucci's, she has been ruined. Some songs of hers have been ruined for me. And then I guess just my last trigger is kind of like I said before, of like the things he said to me, like the phrases. So if I hear those even in TV and media and songs, frickin' whatever it might be, my body is just like, and it all comes back. And you just have to sit there, breathe through it and be like, okay, I'm fucking fine, all right? He's not here right now. But these all being said, advice on letting people back in. Larry and I have some advice for you today on letting people back in. I don't think that I truly got to the point where I was letting people in, Finley specifically, emotionally, until about 6 months in to when we first started seeing each other, was when I felt more free and less like, yeah, about little things that would happen throughout when we were falling in love and stuff. And you know, that timeline for people might be differing. Nobody's healing journey is the same, you know? Like, if you had one thing happen to you, then it could take you a year to be able to let people back in, or it could take you a week. It could take you just however long your body needs. But this all being said, like being in love was my medicine. It was my healing at that time. Like being able to talk to somebody about everything, having them hear me and hold me and be able to, you know, love me and show up for me in the way that I truly needed. And I know that not everybody is going to be able to fall in love with somebody immediately or, you know, quickly after they have this happen to them. I mean, I didn't fall in love with Finley until probably like 2 years after the incident. But again, it's like not everybody is going to have that situation. So that's why therapy is so helpful. Talking to people is so helpful. Just, you know, getting your counseling through whatever way you can, whatever means you can. And just having that open communication, because it's like when you get into situations with people and you only show them a certain side of you because you're so scared of getting hurt, it's like, yes, that guard can be kept up for a while, but if you truly want to love someone and accept love from someone, you need to be able to show all sides of yourself, no matter how triggering or bad or shameful or whatever they might be, you know? Like, there was so much release for both Finley and I of like, hey, I've been holding this in for so long, I've never told anybody this, but here you go, you know? And like breaking down those kinds of barriers in your own mind and being able to have somebody see you for who you are and still unconditionally love you. So that was my medicine. And I'm so grateful to Finley for that and for just so many other things, but seriously helped me heal that immensely. And you know, if this happened to you and you're seeing somebody sexually, or you know, you have felt like you've done some processing of this, but you still have more to learn, I think that you should definitely share with your sexual partner if you feel on that emotional level with them that they can show up for you. I think that you should tell them what happened to you, because just like I've been saying throughout this whole month of September, communication is key in relationships. We need to be having these open talks with people about the things that we've been through so that they know how to handle us better in situations, and not just pretending like it didn't happen, or pretending like it's okay if they do that one thing that your abuser might have done, but you're just gonna like kind of black it out and be like, whatever. And you know, I think that it's fine to be picky. It's fine to be like, no, I don't like when you come in this area of me. I don't like when, you know, you do X, Y, and Z, because it's triggering for me and I don't want to relive that experience again. And if anybody truly loves you and wants to show up for you, they will hear that and they will apply that information, and they will be soft and gentle with you in the ways that you need. I just encourage you guys to seek out those people, hold on to those people if you find them. And we also just need to be having these conversations of consent, obviously. And I'm not saying like if you have a one-night stand or a hookup with somebody that you need to tell them your whole abuse story or whatever it might be. But it's like, you know, if you're holding that emotional space for yourself to be released with somebody, I really encourage you to just like pick the one person to just like process through that with, because, you know, maybe it's not our partners, but it can be a therapist or anybody who loves us in our lives. And that is some freaking medicine. So that is my advice for you today. I just got so many remarks throughout the whole month being like, I was raped and now I can't see people anymore in that way. And it's those things that our abusers will never know, how they continued to impede on our relationships throughout the rest of our lives because of that one night or that one day that happened. And you know, I feel you and I see you and I hear all of your stories and my heart goes out to you. And it's just so fucked up that so many of us have been through this experience and now we're just doing the work, man. So I hope this helps you to keep doing the work in the healing process, because like I said, it's ongoing, it's not overnight. And I know that this video was kind of scattered and maybe very personal and serious, but I just hope that it helped some of you out. Anything else that you have to ask me about in this month of September, whether it be the topic I was talking about today or just anything that I've talked about throughout the month, feel free to leave me a comment down below and I would love to get back to you and share my advice on whatever you're going through. And thank you guys so much for just receiving this content throughout the month, because you guys have just been so kind and I'm really happy that you enjoyed it. Again, with that being said, a lot of these videos, although you guys have been so happy to receive them, they are not making me money back. So if you would like to go and support me on Patreon, the link is patreon.com/Meghan Hughes. It will be the first link in the description. If you would like to go and even pledge $1, it would make my friggin' month, man. So I can make it back in some way, you know? But yeah, this all being said, just thank you for receiving me, listening to me just share my shitty sex advice throughout the whole month. Actually, I don't think it was that shitty. I think I've had some experiences and I was able to draw from them, okay? So yes, Thank you so much. I love you guys. My heart is with you forever and always. I know that's a sappy thing to say, but I see you, and thank you so much for watching me today. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Ring the notifications bell if you would like to be notified when I upload. And until the next upload, stay smiling. Bye guys.
Why fight what we never really felt? I don't care why you don't care if you can't tell. I'd rather fuck myself